America decides tomorrow. History will definitely be made. Will they select a first female president, or they will re-elect a man who served one term and is looking at coming back into office? Well, they decide. You're still watching Prime Morning, and this is the News Flash segment, which is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still phone prepare for you. Whatever gadgets you are looking for, whether mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras, no matter the gadgets you are looking for, we've got them. All of them very authentic as well. You can visit any of our shops. You can call the number on the screen now, not just any number, but the number that's being displayed. You can actually download the app on your phone because you want to beat traffic. You don't want to go through all that stress. Download the app. All the gadgets are on the app, and you purchase and we'll deliver it to you at your doorstep. Or if you want to make a further inquiries, you can visit us on our website, www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone prepare fee. I have my first guest here, and I have to introduce him to you. He's representing the Movement for Change, and he's in the person of Nana Yao Sapong. Hi, Nana.
Rosie, hi.
How are you?
Good.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
How was
Looking
your
great.
weekend? Thank you.
Question me. Oh, no, it was a beautiful weekend, and then we actually painted Accra yellow on Saturday. It was so beautiful. When the entire of the Greater Accra region was behind Alan Tremantin. And Greater Accra region plays a very key role in deciding who becomes president in this country. It's a region that is very well populated, and it does not actually belong to any political
It's a decider.
side. So you would notice that it's difficult to actually impress the voters in Greater Accra. They decide where they want to go. And for you to have the numbers that we got behind us on Saturday, it means that, to us, it meant that the people in Greater Accra region, actually the voters in Greater Accra region, have had a better understanding on the times and seasons in which we are. They have a better understanding of the Great Transformational Plan, and they have a better understanding of the person called Alan. Because the 2024 elections is not just going to be a political party color thing. It's going to be based on credibility. It's going to be based on trust. It's going to be based on who has a vision, not just to come and talk, but who has been able to walk the talk in the little corner that has been given. And so the people that came out on Saturday to actually walk with Alan through the Victory Mega Walk was awesome. And more than 80% of these individuals were youth. And all they need is jobs. All they need is good health care. All they need is good infrastructure.
Were they bussed? We know mostly when campaign is ongoing and there's a walk, mostly the parties bus people from maybe different regions and different
it depends.
areas
Yes,
together.
so it depends on what you mean by where they bus.
Yeah.
Now, this walk was just for Greater Accra.
Okay.
We did one in Ashanti
In
region.
Ashanti region, about 2 weeks ago,
About
right?
2 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. Then we did one here on Saturday. So from the constituencies in Greater Accra region,
you
of course,
passed them,
when
okay.
they are coming, they definitely would have to come with
Pass
their,
them.
but these are not buses that came from other regions.
Okay.
And your cameras were there. And in these seasons, all right, in these campaign seasons, one thing I like about the Ghanaian media is that they try to capture the buses and try to interview the people, whether or not they are from Greater Accra or they are from other regions, because of mischief.
Yeah.
But then you would notice that these persons were indigenes of Greater Accra. These persons are people who live in Greater Accra,
Okay.
vote in Greater Accra, and they are going to decide who leads Ghana.
Are these members of Movement for Change?
Movement for Change is not a political party.
Okay.
All right. So they are sympathizers
They are
of
sympathizers,
Movement for Change.
okay.
They are volunteers of Movement for
Okay.
Change. They have dedicated their time, they have dedicated their political time and energy to ensure that Alan Tremantin becomes president. It's not a political party. And so you would find people from the NDC, you find people from the NPP, you find people from the CPP, the PNC. And if you look at the footage when they were actually making the statements after we had actually ended the walk at the Opera Spot, you will notice that we had persons like Bala, Chairman Bala, who's a former and acting national chairman of the PNC. You would have persons like Odike, who were there. I mean, you could literally identify MPP constituency executives, former regional executives. You could find NDC activists. These are people who genuinely love Alan, genuinely believe that Alan is the person who is able to save Ghana from the crisis in which we are today.
Okay.
Because we are not looking at somebody who will just make manifesto promises. We are actually looking at somebody who has a proven track record. All right, Alan has a proven track record when it comes to job creation.
Okay.
Alan has a proven track record when it comes to international diplomacy. Alan has a track record when it comes to who is credible.
But the only issue is he's never been president before.
The only issue, of course, and I keep saying, nobody has been president before.
Some people come for the second term.
Fine, John Mahama is coming for the second term,
Yeah.
but the times in which he was president is not the same times in which we are now.
Okay. Let me quickly read what the newspapers have for us, and then we will take it from there. We'll take a look at what is happening in America. We'll call our colleague Isaac Kofiaje. I call him AKA Joy News. He's a data analyst. He will tell us exactly what's happening in America as of now. Now, earlier, I did hear that Pennsylvania is the decider, just like Nanaya Osopon said to us that Greater Accra is the decider for our elections. So is Pennsylvania. And so how does it look like as of now? But before then, let me quickly read what the newspapers have for us. And I'll start with the Daily Analyst newspaper. The Daily Analyst. Songhai Caucus leads NDC's bid to win Ewutu Senya. Bawumia launches a national e-health project. Elections 2024, IGP assures readiness of security personnel to protect Ghana's peace. Cholera strikes at Kaswa. 5 persons dead, 30 hospitalized. Wow, this is not good to hear at all. This is not good to hear. Wisconsin University founder receives Lifetime Achievement Award, and EC not printing excess ballot papers. Samuel Tete clears the air. The next newspaper is the Republic Press newspaper. The Republic Press newspaper. I'll hand over peacefully, Ekufuado assures. EC opens up ballot printing to media, just like they have said they are not printing excess ballot papers. Election 2024, prioritize peace, well-being of Ghanaians, Apostle Nyamiche to politicians. LEAP beneficiaries to receive 1,000 Ghana cedis dry spell emergency cash. Police manhunt for armed robbers after Adabraka jewelry shop attack. Yes, talking about that. It was quite shocking. It was like us watching some movie, you know? Who would have thought that this could happen in broad daylight with so much confidence? And some of them are not, they haven't even covered their faces.
When I saw the footage,
Yeah.
I thought it was one of these pranks.
Yeah.
Honestly. You know, it happened on Saturday.
Yeah.
And this was just when we had done with the work and all that. So when we had finished and everything was relaxed, I just went on social media and I saw it. And I was like, Ghana for any pranks, the Omunjayo. That was what I said. Then I noticed that it was on almost every platform.
Yeah.
So I went back to it, and you know, the lady who was selling the oranges or so,
Yeah,
I don't know
she's
what
still
she was.
there.
No, she was. I think she was amazed
At what
was happening, and so she was lost in the moment.
She was like in a trance. Just
She actually could not see it as a reality. And if there was one of the footages that had this voice, somebody speaking at the background, and they themselves did not believe it was a robbery. And I think we need to beef up security in these days.
We do.
I mean, personal security and
the good thing is that CCTV cameras have been able to capture the vehicle, and so the vehicle number plate is out there. And so if you are the owner of that vehicle, unless they robbed that vehicle to use it.
And even unless otherwise, the number plate that has been captured is indeed that of the vehicle they use. But I think that the Ghana police is advanced. Once they are able to actually capture the numbers and they are able to identify the car, they should be able to trace to get the owner of the vehicle, whether it was stolen or not. But it was a sad day, you know. That was somebody's hard earned
It was a
money.
sad day. So the picture on the screen is the car that was robbed. The car that was used to rob, I think, is a Toyota.
Yeah, I think
the
Pathfinder
Highlander, or
Highlander,
one of those cars. Yes. So this is the car that got robbed. Now, you know, some of these robbers didn't even cover their faces. That's how confident they were.
Look at the type of guns they're using.
Yeah, and the AK-47. They were using AK-47, and they were so confident. And apparently, this is the second time this particular shop has been robbed. And they didn't even rob the shop. They robbed the person who went to take money and loaded a car with that money. And the driver waited a bit. The man when the customer actually got shot, he didn't die though, but he got shot, but the driver was unharmed. So the driver stood there for some few minutes until the car came before the driver moved. So the driver apparently is under investigation.
That's the car. Yeah. The car there.
Yeah. Anyway, we are hoping that, you know, these men will be apprehended. Founder of Kama Group, Michael Ajekum Ado, dead. May his soul rest in peace. Is another thing that was trending over the weekend because he had apparently granted an interview before he died where he said his pension, he lost his money through the banking restructure, has nothing, was struggling to pay his overheads, and now he's gone. It's gone.
And he was an industrial person.
Yeah.
I happen to have known him personally through the trade and industry when we were dealing with the One District, One Factory. And he was actually putting up a pharmaceutical manufacturing company somewhere in Tema. And he had invested so much into that factory. Myself, Alan Chomantin, then as Minister for Trade and Industry, and some directors of the ministry had visited because of the packages and the benefits that were available at the ministry to support industries. And the pharmaceutical industry was actually one of the pillars that Alan Chomantin was pushing. And when he was Minister for Trade, and it was true that I got to know him and listening to, he loves to tell you life stories, and he would encourage the young ones and how you should learn a skill. And he kept hammering it. And he told us one time that all his children, they have a skill one way or the other.
It's quite sad. It's quite sad.
It was heartbreaking when I read it on, I think, Friday night. Yeah.
May his soul rest in peace. I'll do the Daily Graphic newspaper next. The Daily Graphic newspaper. Graphic holds dialogue on education tomorrow. Special supplement on pre-tertiary education. AI fears ahead of December 7th. A media watch to counter fake news. Labadi Beach Hotel pays a record of 16.5 million Ghana cedis dividend to Senate. First Bank Ghana posts 36% growth in profits in third quarter. Congratulations to them. The next newspaper is the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. ESLA explains 5G shared network model. Optimistic Ghanaians will be served better. We are hoping the prices will also be good in our pockets, though. It's not about just the services, but if the prices are not good, how do we enjoy the service? Baumia outlines plans to tackle youth unemployment and Nana promises to hand over to winner. Professor Ekumfi charges NPP to secure victory for Baumia, and ADB supports Farmers Day with 1 million Ghana cedis. That's a good one. The Ghanaian Times newspaper is my final newspaper, the Ghanaian Times. I'll hand over to winner, President assures a nation. FDA GSA launch harmonization initiative to boost industry, SMEs growth. NDC government would work with stakeholders to improve governance systems. This coming from Mahama. And jewelry shop attacked, sacks of cash stolen amid gunshots. And that's what we discussed. I believe it will definitely be brought to you during What's Trending segment. And I want to take a look at what's happening in America as they decide on who will become the next president of America. Will it be a woman factor, or will it be the man who says he will make America great again? My colleague Isaac Ofieje is on Zoom. He's a data analyst, and he's going to tell us exactly what is happening in America. Hi, Isaac. Hello? So as we wait for Isaac, we know about 79 million people in America have already casted their vote. And as of now, it's too close to call. All are at 49%. The difference is a little 0.49% difference where the Democrats are leading with just about 0.49%. But Isaac Ofie-Adjei will be the best person to tell us the figures. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, please?
I'm fine, thank you. So tell us what's happening in America now with regards to the elections.
I mean, you put it right there. Currently, we have about more than 70 million people who have actually cast their vote. We are looking at more than 185 million people to do so. So definitely that tells you that America has a long way to go in determining their next president. It's still early days yet to actually call who's winning, especially looking at the fact that you do not become the president of America by winning popular votes. You need to win, the college votes, and that's the most important aspect of this year's of the American election. And so if you are leading in terms of the popular vote, the key question you should be asking yourself, which of the states are you actually leading? If you are a Republican, is it that you are leading in the red wall states, or if you're a Democrat, are you winning in the blue wall states, or the most important 7, swing states, or some of which are actually bellwether states? Are you leading in those ones? But early voting and mail-in votes actually tells a proper story of how this year's election will go, and it's interesting to see that. The early data that we've seen shows a close election, just like you put it, 49-49. There's one that I've actually seen just about 10 minutes ago that shows that Democrats are actually in the lead with about 8% of the total popular vote cast at the moment.
High, isn't it? But that's popular votes, which is not a decider,
yes,
like you said.
Absolutely. So, I mean, unlike Ghana, where a political party needs 50% plus 1 to win the presidential elections, in America, you need 270 of the electoral college vote plus 1 or more to win presidential elections. And most of the attention has actually been on the 7 swing states. And at the moment, it looks as if Pennsylvania is the most important state that almost all both political parties. People keep forgetting that America runs a multi-party system, and there are actually 4 candidates on the ballot. But I mean, definitely we'll start talking about the 2 dominant parties. But you will need more than 275 of that electoral college vote to win. And the reason why Pennsylvania has become the most important state at the moment is that Pennsylvania is a swing state, and it has 19 electoral college votes. So it means that whoever leads or wins Pennsylvania has about 19 electoral college votes to add to what they already have from either the red or blue, wall states. And so at the moment, we've seen most of the 2 political parties spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania, and available polls shows that it is actually a tie at the moment in terms of the aggregated polls that they've had so far in America, that nobody has a clear lead in Pennsylvania, and it looks very, very tight at the moment, Rosalie.
That's quite shocking, isn't it? What do you think is the reason why it's so tight in Pennsylvania?
Well, Pennsylvania is an interesting state. It's actually a bellwether state, so it votes for whoever wins or whoever becomes the president. And what makes them so important is that if you look at all the swing states, it is one of the states with the highest electoral votes. And the fact that the 2 political parties have spent most of their time and money, they've actually poured millions of dollars in Pennsylvania trying to convince voters to actually vote a certain particular line. Pennsylvania is very dynamic. Voters are very nuanced. They really want to listen to political parties they are actually not aligned to either blue or red. They listen to both political parties and then they cast their vote. So whoever is able to convince them with their policies will win Pennsylvania. What are some of the important issues, that Pennsylvanians are actually looking for? I mean, they are more of jobs, and some of them are actually bothered about, what we call migration issues. But the most important issue to Pennsylvanians actually is about the economy. And with the economy, who will be able to run the economy better in 2025 and beyond? That will be the answers that those voters in Pennsylvania will be looking at. Pennsylvania is just about New York, and it's actually so different from New York when it comes to elections. It stands as one of the peculiar states in the U.S. that votes in a certain direction, where they, according to most of the polls at the moment, will determine who takes the seats in the the White House.
Wow. Anyway, my guests are here, and so let me ask them a few questions. I'll not let you go, so you hold on Zoom for me so that I can get my guest involved in the conversation. Benjamin Jawapia is here. Hi, good morning, Benji.
Good morning, the beautiful Rosalind.
Thank you. Benji is representing the NPP. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I think I've been closely monitoring what is going on in the U.S. elections, and it's good to have a soundbite on it. Maybe, I mean, if I am okay to go, or you welcome Doc, and then we move on. Or should I go ahead with it?
No, I have to welcome
Sure.
Doc first,
All right.
and so I welcome Doc. Mahmoud Khalid, hi Doc, how are you? It's good to have you here.
Good to see
It's
you.
been a while.
I know. Been on the campaign trail.
Yeah,
so
how's it going, Doc?
Yeah, pretty much well. I mean, resounding message going around the length and breadth of the country and every nook and cranny. So we're taking the researching agenda.
Okay, nice. Anyway, so I'll have to delve into my conversation. And now, taking a look at what is happening in America, of course, I haven't started the conversation with Nanayao, and since he came here first, I'll start with him. Looking at what is happening in America, it's quite a tight one to call. It's supposed to be decided by tomorrow, but now it's very tight. Whoever wins becomes a history made in America.
Interestingly, I was in a conversation yesterday with a group of individuals. And when a direct question, as you have asked, was put to one of them, that what is happening in America, the person was like, we can tell. But let us look at the democratic history of America, and let's see whether or not it would be able to help us to digest it. Now, you will notice that America has a certain voting pattern. Pennsy is a decider. They are well populated now, and there is so much dynamics when it comes to Pennsylvania, and you're not able to tell where their votes go. And that is actually one of the things that affects the voting pattern in America. That is number one. Number two, the 19th Amendment, which happened in 1919, which actually was after the activists that pushed for women to vote. In America, women before were not voting. It was actually meant for the elite, then for men, and then during the 19th Amendment, then women were actually allowed to vote. In that, a woman of color still had issues trying to exercise the right to vote. All right, so now the question is, America has been able to deal with the black factor by voting Obama as president. And so they accepted it, they dealt with it. But is America ready to deal with the woman factor? Because being black is different, being a woman is different. And being a black woman
Is another thing
altogether. So you will notice that indeed the colored citizens who are going to vote we're told that the statistics are in the majority. All right, the pure whites are in the minority. But how are they able to marry the two? The other hand, is America ready to have the second coming of Trump? The main persons, in every country we have the shakers of the table, the men who sit on the table, the men and women who sit on the table. Are they ready to have Trump come back with the kind of policy directions that he's pushing? Are they ready to have that?
To ban abortion and all.
You understand? And so America currently, as we speak, is in a state of dilemma, in my view. No one is able to call looking at the factors that are involved in this. All right? And so you will notice that when Harris took over from Biden, within a day, she was able to raise in excess of $50 million to support her campaign. Now, everybody on the side was like, oh, it's a done deal for her. I remember in the office, I was having a debate with my colleagues, and I told them, America na money on deal, give America a week or two to elections, and they cannot call looking at these factors. Because anybody who has studied the American politics would have concluded when Harris took over from Biden that Trump was not going to come any close. The energy was different. The policy direction was different. She was able to actually push herself to trumpet her own policy direction away from that of Biden.
A minute more.
All right. But as we speak, Trump has been able to find his way back into the race, so close to call, and the dynamics are actually on the other side are working good for him. And so we will just have to wait till tomorrow
And see.
But me, I'm biased when it comes to America.
So if you say you're biased, which way are you biased?
I mean, you did.
All right, Benji, let me bring you into the conversation. It's quite close, very close. 49%. That's
Rosalind, I think that this U.S. election is poised for history making, like you rightly put it, with the inception of the debate. But let's go back when Biden was facing Trump. Clearly, the Democrats knew that they had serious problems. And with the debate between Biden and Trump, everybody saw the performance. So they quickly had to do a U-turn and bring in Kamala.
Yeah.
And since Kamala came in, she has done extremely well. You've also seen in these last days that Kamala Harris has been having a lot of endorsement from celebrities, the likes of Jennifer Lopez, Cardi B, Beyonce, all of them last week. All of them. They were...
Well, I think that today Oprah Winfrey will be there.
Exactly.
Lady Gaga will be there. A few others will also be there.
See, anybody that really tells you that these, influencers do not have influence on the U.S. vote will be telling a lie. If you look at the fan base of Taylor Swift alone and the numbers that she moves alone in this particular election, the kind of influence that she has, it is going to trickle down well for Harris. The Democrats, I know it's a very close contest, but what I can say is that the Democrats are going to win a narrow victory for them. That is my projections.
That's what your projection
Yes.
is.
On the other hand, the Americans are also looking at the economy. And in every sector of the survey that have come out, it seems that when it comes to economy, they give it to Trump.
Yeah.
So it's another thing to look at. Some Americans are also concerned about their border protection, where you have Mexicans and other people, the influx. And Trump is going around telling Americans that these people are taking away their jobs and all that. So they are also on the lookout on that side as well. And then you come to race, where you have the Latinos, you have the black community, you have
The Muslim community and all.
all of those people, the Jewish and all of those people also going for Democrats. So for me, the dynamics are different. But like our brother said, we have to look at the electoral map. They use the electoral college more than any other person.
More than the popular
Exactly.
vote. And it looks like currently the Democrats are in lead with the popular votes, but that is not the decider.
See?
Not at all.
Well, so that's a problem. We have to look into the electoral college. That's exactly where victory comes from. If you remember what happened to Trump and Biden in 2020, Trump was doing well with popular votes, and then when it came to electoral vote, he lost.
Yeah.
And that is when Biden came in to become the president. So I must say that this is
And again, it was Pennsylvania that made that
that,
decision.
and now we have a tie in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We have a tie. There are key swing areas. Last time when I checked Wisconsin, it was a tie.
A minute more though.
And then you have Pennsylvania as well deciding. So right now, this whole thing is something that we all have to look into for. But I am projecting that Democrats would definitely win with a smaller margin. It's not going to be huge.
And your reason is?
And it's probably because, there are certain factors that the Americans are looking at. With the disappointment that came from Trump supporters on, I think it was January 6th or so, where they went into White House and the Capitol Hill
right.
and did all those that the Americans are very concerned about that. They are afraid that something similar might happen, and they want somebody who is going to protect their presidency. And on the international front as well, Trump is not doing so well. He seems to bring some kind of fear into world leaders. Americans are looking at somebody that would really bring world unity instead of the fear, where Trump is aligned with Russia and China and all that. They want somebody that will really bring all of us together, other than divide.
Right. So for you, that is the reason why Democrats could win.
Yes.
Dr. Sharif, let me ask you first. Taking a look at this again, we are hearing from the Republicans that their main thing is to fix the economy again because inflation went high under the Biden administration. Yeah. And it's been stabilized a bit. However, some Americans are still not believing that the Biden or the Democrats can fix the situation. Hence, they need the Republicans to come and fix the situation. For the Democrats, they are really basing their hope on, freedom and the race factor where we are all inclusive, basing on the woman factor as well and the celebrity factor. Does that count, or the economy is the main issue? Because for you as NDC, that is your campaign as well, the economy.
Well, we are on the economy, but these are two different jurisdictions altogether. And even if you look at what culminates for one to become president, it's a different dynamic altogether. And looking at swing states playing a big role in all of this. But you see, for me, having been watching Trump and the Trump policy team since he lost the White House in 2020, is quite an interesting trajectory to watch. They've been in preparation gear and in combat mode since 2020. So what happened is when he lost, his head of policy unit, and the person of, I think that's Brooks.
Brooks,
yeah, set up a unit, a think tank called America First Institute, right? And this is where they started to actually iterate the issues. If you realize, the issue of the wall has not become much of an issue in this election, because that played a big role, a significant role, right? So you look at all of this, and when you talk about the economy, there's an excuse still to be made as far as the economy is concerned if you want to make that comparison. Here is a certain vice president who took very late from a president who felt that, okay, well, I wasn't formidable enough to keep carrying on with this mantle. Could you come in and take over? She came in, energized the base. But the fundamental, intriguing nature of the American election is that it's not a popular contest. If it were a popular contest, I don't think we all be having this discussion. It would be a done deal, and the prediction would be very easy. As you'd see, I was just looking at The Economist this morning, the exit polls coming in. What is predicting is that whoever wins Michigan is probably likely to win Wisconsin.
Okay.
How possible is that? But these are crucial states as far as this election is concerned. So, yeah, for me, but what is the residue that's going to be left behind is that there's going to be a Trumpification of America, regardless of who becomes the winner. Because he's actually trusted his policy and ingrained it into the policy corridors of the United States of America. And as to how whoever wins would steer that is going to be fundamental. Trade wars, that's also fundamental. But what China thinks or what Russia or probably what the UN thinks is not what the average American thinks, right? Most people often think the American, why you take the swing states play a big role. You would find native or proper American citizens who don't even hold passports, having traveled out of the states they were birthed. So the outlook to which they would have with this election is going to be very different, as opposed to those that are well-traveled, have seen the world. And so it's quite a very complex election that we're looking at. I mean, you can talk about endorsements of celebrities. Some live in states that have never heard the names of these celebrities. Again, that's quite a fundamental point. But what scares me to the bone in this election is the preparation of the Trump team. They've actually put a lot of effort as far as policy drive is concerned, polling is concerned. I mean, the last time we have the likes of Bannon. This time around, we have a quiet Brooke, who is there playing her role effectively, but not making much noise. Now, what is quite interesting in all of this is that there seemed to be an establishment support for Kamala. I don't know how that would play out, but it looks like the establishment is being watered down to actually embrace her. As to how that is going to reflect on the poll,
we saw that in 2016.
Yeah.
We saw the establishment more for the Democrat. However,
yes,
Trump managed to win.
Well, but this time around, different dynamics. Right. Again, as I said, I don't know what consideration her joining her late coming to the race would have or the impact it will have. I mean, with issues of one being black, one being colored, and all of that, it's quite a nuanced argument we would want to have. Right? Sometimes some black people or colored people are more white than the color itself. So it's not about looking at it from those perspectives, but as to what they truly represent. Right? I mean, abortion rights issues are massive issues, especially when it comes to people of color, you know, economic issues, and among all of these issues. So it's a toss-up.
It is a toss-up. It is a toss-up, and as to who wins, we don't know. But we are making, we are trying to see how, you know, if Kamala should win, it will affect Ghana, because our elections are just around the corner. So Nanayo, let me bring you into it.
Yeah, just a quick one. You see, when
I'll come back to you. Let me speak with Kofi on Zoom. Sure. Kofi. Hello, Kofi. Kofi, can you hear me? Hello? Can you unmute yourself for me, okay?
Yes, I'm unmute. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Now, talking about that, if we take a look at Pennsylvania, which is the decider, and we take a look at Ghana, which region will we say can be the Pennsylvania of Ghana?
Well, I think in Ghana, it will be difficult to actually point out a certain Pennsylvania.
Greater Accra.
Greater Accra was almost like that bellwether state, but in 2020, that outlook changed, where the NPP lost Greater Accra region and still actually won the presidential election. For me, the most important part of our, country, which I think will be the northern part, the 5 northern regions going into this year's election. None of the political parties should actually take the 5 northern regions for granted. I think that the stories behind Ghana's swing states are actually, or swing regions are actually changing, especially looking at what happened in the Greater Accra region. As for the Western and Central region, they are still very important, regions that you need to win for you to actually win the elections. But in the northern part of the country, where I see that part to be the battleground, looking at the northern region, for instance, I don't know if you've looked at the data where the margin between the NPP and the NDC is actually closing. Western North, for instance, we saw for the first time that the NPP won in 2020. It started closing right from 2012, 2016, and they won it officially in 2020. And if you look at other, northern parts of the country where the NPP have actually never won, the Upper West and the Upper East region, they are also very important regions to look at in this year's election. But although Greater Accra voted differently, not being a bellwether, region in the 2020 election, you still cannot take out Greater Accra. Even if you lose it, you have to lose it with a very small margin. Other than that, if you lose it and the margin is really huge, it will definitely go against you in terms of any of the two political parties.
Wow. Okay, so now talking about that, now we are taking a look at these two main people, that is the Democrats and the Republicans, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. If either should win, what effects will it have on our country? Because our elections are just around the corner.
It's interesting. I mean, looking at their policies, for us as Ghanaians, what we are looking at is the international trade aspect or the international relations. Because if you look at the Ghanaian economy, for instance, this is a country that import bill, the last time I checked the Bank of Ghana data, is estimated to end this year around $18 billion. That tells you that this is an import-driven economy, and whatever that happens in America affects Ghana like any other, state in the U.S. For instance, I always say that the strength or the health of the Ghanaian cedi is determined by the American Fed. Whatever Jerome Powell and his committee would decide actually has a significant impact on the Ghanaian cedi. And so if we continue to be an import-driven economy where we need dollars to import almost everything, then whatever happens in America would have an impact on us. We all saw when inflation was really high, actually went out of the bracket that the U.S. economy really wanted it to be. We also had the cedi struggled when everybody was actually chasing after that rate cut that was promised by the Fed. It happened in September. By the time it happened, it was too late. The cedi had actually lost more than 20% or 24% of its value against the dollar. And so the American as a country, as an economy, is very important, not just to Ghana, but to Africa as a whole. If you look at the grants we receive from America, for instance, it's also really important. Grants in itself has actually dwindled since 2015 when we become, I think, middle income around the Mahama administration, where we had actually grown into the space of now going into the Eurobond market to now borrow. No more grants again. But so that tells you that, I mean, we should be really, particular about what happens in America. It will be a test case for us, looking at the fact that there are some interesting correlation between the Ghanaian election and what happens in America. For instance, Rosalind, this year it will be determined between a vice president and a former president. The same scenario happening in Ghana. So, I mean, they may not be that significant when you probably break it down to some sort of a certain level. But whatever that happens in America will be a good template for Ghana. But for me, the most important aspect has to do with the trade, and especially if the American economy is healthy, trust me, the Ghanaian cedi will also be healthy.
Right. And talking about that, we don't know who America will decide tomorrow. However, we are hoping that the decision will be good for our economy as well. Currently, the Democrats are in power. Do you think that the economy or how they have run the economy is one of the reasons why Ghana, we are struggling as an economy?
Well, there are different factors, to be frank. There's the COVID-19 element, there's the Russia-Ukraine element, there's America in itself as what they face. So I will not blame America for what any decision they take for the ordinary Americans, And if we are also robust and then we put certain things in place, depending on the magnitude of the shock, we should be able to absorb it in a certain way. So we need to get our fundamental rights as a country in terms of the economy. I will not put the blame on America, but just like I put it, whatever happens in America has a significant impact on Ghana. But our fundamentals will actually determine the magnitude of the impact, especially with their policy rates, decisions and what have you.
All right.
But if we decide to still go with the the petrodollar system, where now I think we are trying to shift with the gold for oil deal and what have you, still, I still feel that the American dollar is very significant. determining the health of the Ghanaian economy at any point in time.
All right, Isaac Ofieje, thank you so much. We'll definitely keep our eyes on the ball tomorrow and see who becomes the next president of the United States of America. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and so back into the studio. Nanayao, you were on the floor with
Yes.
regards to, so I'll take your final points on this,
yes,
and then I
I-
go into the next topic.
So I was just trying to build a point from where Doc ended, and I was trying to
Right.
say that, you see, when the Americans are talking about black and somebody being pure American as white, one of the elements that they look at is culture and tradition. And this is what influences their decisions when it comes to policy directions. And so it is not just about the race or the color. It goes beyond that. And then to add my voice to the celebrities. What I have come to realize is that these celebrities would have very huge numbers on social media. But the question is, does it reflect in reality when it comes to followership? Now, the person could be followed on social media. And I'll use Ghana as an example. You would have people having a followership on Instagram, 3 million, 4 million, 2.5 million. In 2008, all right, we had a lot of celebrities endorsing a particular political party. What happened at the end of the day? In 2016, all right, the NDC would also tell you, all right, they also had a lot of celebrities endorsing the candidature of John Mahama. What happened to them? Recently, I think that Kennedy Japan of the NPP made the same statement on one of the platforms. He said that we had a lot of musicians, a lot of celebrities with us in 2008. What happened? These celebrities do not influence voter pattern.
Not even a little bit?
They do not influence voter pattern, all right? They can help you to gather the crowd to talk to them. But as to the voter pattern, they do not. And then Kofi made a statement about the 5 northern regions, and he was trying to ask a question as to whether Penzi could be likened to any of the regions in Ghana. Of course. He was talking about the 5 northern regions. Now, if you look at the presidential votes distribution in 2020, Northeast was the only northern region, all right, region in the north that was won by the NPP. Upper West was won by the NDC, Upper East was won by the NDC, Northern region was won by the NDC, Savannah was won by the NDC. Yet, NDC lost. If you put together the entire 5 northern regions, we have 2.7 million votes for the 5 northern regions. Now, if you are looking at Ashanti region alone, we have 3 million votes, 3 something. Greater Accra is 3.5 million votes. Ashanti region has a way they vote.
Yeah.
Voter OT, they have a way they vote, all right? But Greater Accra has no pattern.
Central region doesn't have a pattern.
Central region doesn't have a pattern. And if you're looking at the central region is about 1.5 million or so votes, all right? And so if you have a region that does not belong to or does not have a particular voting pattern, then you should know that that region is able to influence whether or not you become a president.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at the 5 northern regions, you will notice that even with our current dispensation, almost all the political parties,
2 minutes more though.
almost all the political parties are scared of even going to campaign in the northern regions. All right? They all have their concentrations in a particular, and that is what is doing the magic for Alan Shermanton. Because he is able to appeal to the swing regions.
Okay.
Because the swing regions have a certain thinking pattern.
No more the Ashanti region?
No, as the Ashanti, I'll come to Ashanti.
Because Ashanti is not a swing region.
No. The Ashanti is not a swing region, but Alan is coming from a side that has so much influence in the Ashanti region. And that is the reason why he's going to take a lot of votes from the Ashanti region. But I am talking about the swing regions. Who influences the swing region?
Okay.
And it is Alan who is influencing the swing regions because of his policy directions. Because the swing regions are looking at more of issues of the economy and how the person is able to put together a policy that would indeed turn things around.
All right, Nana. Benji.
Well, you see, with the U.S. elections, I think that I am strongly for women empowerment. I am backing Harris to win this ticket. We must not also downplay the importance of the likes of Obama. I mean, he has a lot to offer. And in the last month or so, you've seen him go
around. A lot to offer in what way?
Well, you see, when President Obama was the president...
He's no more the president.
Yes, I know. But he has a lot of influence in the black community, I would say, and even perhaps white, with the policy of Obamacare, where Trump, since he became president, wanted to overturn that, it saved millions of Americans, and still they hold on to it. It's more or less like the free SHS here in Ghana. So it's very important that we look in that direction as well. Certain people are still loved, they still cherish Obama so much, and that's why he's going around with Kamala. You see, in August, around July, August, thereabout, we saw Kamala winning Michigan, or leading Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. But Trump has come in very closely. In 2016, he did same. Well, no, 2020. Trump did same. He came from the back. All of these states are strongholds of the Democrats. So once you're able to win that, it's a done deal.
Pennsylvania is not it's not stronghold for any of them.
For most of the elections, they tend to lead even before the elections. And that's exactly what Kamala was doing, recently, until Trump has come back strongly. So it's very close to call. And with the U.S. election, I don't think it's going to have any serious effect on our election. What I'm trying to say is that if you look at I agree with my brother. What's his name? Was it Kofi?
Kofi.
I mean, I strongly agree with him that we must not downplay the significance of the 5 northern regions. The NPP used to be, I would say the 5 northern regions was not really, our place. But since Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia became the vice president and our flag bearer, from 3 seats in the Upper East or so, we now have almost about 11 compared together. So his candidature as the flag bearer is going to help us increase more of our seats. And that I can tell you. Now, I can strongly tell you that the Northern Zone is a battleground. It's a battleground, and the NDC knows it. That at first, they knew that it was their stronghold. If you take the Zongo community, that is for the NDC. Now, with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia coming in, it's become a battleground, and most likely, people are even flipping to the NPP. What I want to see in the coming days is that we tighten up in Ashanti region. The level of energy in Ashanti region is not really, like it used to. We must be very frank with the likes of Movement for Change as well.
Thanks to the movement.
You see, we must come clear with some of these things.
It's true, because when they went to the Ashanti region, I must say, although, we had, what's his name? Dispatch, Daily Dispatch newspaper, Uncle Ben Efson, say that we should not be fooled by the numbers. Yeah. Still, the numbers that were pulled is just something that I kept on wondering where they came from. There, in Greater Accra, you didn't pull that number. You pulled some numbers, but Ashanti was massive.
Yeah. So like you're right. You rightly put it. I think that we one of the things that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has said to his campaign team members like us is that we should not leave any room for complacency, where we feel like we are already winning in Ashanti region or whatnot. The numbers in Ashanti region is very, very important. Like we have projected, if we have 75% of our members in Ashanti region coming out to vote, then we will say that it's going to be massive win for us. So there are a lot of works to be done. And yesterday he spoke on jobs for the youth and others. And clearly, we have not seen so much from the other side of the NDC. We haven't seen the presidential candidate of John Dramani Mahama as we used to. So clearly, you can see that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has brought in some level of energy.
Okay.
And since he started his campaign, there are a lot of people that were, I was very honest with some of the polls that were coming out. If the elections were held maybe around July, I would have said that, NPP would have lost the election. But now, all the numbers are flipping to our side. Okay. With the way Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is doing his approach, the campaign style and all that, going to the ordinary Ghanaian, the market and all that, you can clearly see that he's flipping the numbers to our side. And we are very, very enthused. We are energized that we are winning this election.
Fantastic. Doc, do you think there's any correlation between the American elections and our elections?
Well, apart from a PR dimension, and to which I don't know what impact that usually would have, I don't see much. And by PR dimension, look at it from this perspective. If you have a Trump White House in the next few days coming, they're going to say, okay, well, the PR dimension that could play into it is that, okay, a president who lost the White House has been repeated. So depending on which faction wants to play that, they'll play it very nicely. Right. If you have Kamala Harris coming in, they'll say a certain vice president who has, emerged. To what extent that is going to trickle down, I doubt that that's going to be very infinitesimal as far as the impacts are concerned, given the pernicious nature of the economy. To borrow the famous words of Ken Ofori-Atta himself, it tells you that it's going to be about the economy. Is the economy stupid? That's a fundamental question that's going to be asked. But if Dr. Bawumia is running scared, right, with his tail in between his legs lately, not even wanting to organize a public lecture but calling for a debate, it tells you how much of goalposts has been shifted in the last couple of years. From the economy these days, everything is IT, low-hanging fruits of apps that are even not applicable and fit for purpose for a kind of jurisdiction is what he's focused on. I don't know what his external consultants are telling him, but it looks like run away from the economy as much as you can because you tanked it. That is the fundamental message that is being sent as far as the NPP strategy is concerned. Now, comparing or juxtaposing that to what my colleagues in studio have said as far as issues of swing states and what have you, when it comes to these issues, I'm quite looking at it from this perspective. We had 3 northern regions before, right? That has metamorphosed into 3, right? Giving a new curation
to 5.
5. Giving a new curation of 2 additional regions. Now, voter population density, as far as the 3 northern regions, in time past, are concerned, was not that much stronger compared to Ashanti and maybe Greater Accra. Now there are 5 regions. The density is quite thin as far as that is concerned. So is that effective enough to make a significant change or an inroads as far as an election is concerned? The jury is still out there to judge that.
Okay.
Because that's really very new. Now, there's also often a fundamental mistake we make when we bring in Central Region. Most often than not, the voter population or analysts themselves make this mistake of viewing Central Region from the lens of Cape Coast.
A small region. They don't know it's...
they just view it as Cape Coast, a Central Region. Yeah. No. If you look at Central Region...
That's why Central Region.
Yes, and apart from that, you have the Efutu side.
1.5 million voters.
Yes. And they've been unfair to Professor Mills. So, like candidates who hail from these areas, we get unfair to them thinking that Professor Mills would have to deliver it and thinking that it's just Cape Coast for President Mills or Professor Mills to have delivered. Same unfair commentary has been run against Professor Nana Jane Akpoko-Adjumani to say this is what it is. That is not to say she's not doing a fabulous job. She's doing a fantastic job. But can we look at it, right, in the beast that it is? And by beast, I'm looking at it from a positive lens to say it's a political colossal when you look at it in terms of voter population. Now, there are certain parts, the ascent sites of Central Region, pay allegiance to the Otunfo. So it mimics Ashanti to an extent. He would know what I'm talking about. Yeah. A greater part of that mimics Ashanti.
That's what I just wanted to wrap up with.
Yes, the greater part of Central mimics Ashanti to an extent. So as to how to dilute that, you need that formidability, which is what the erudite Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has been doing in the last couple of days, running around the campaign trail with Women's Development Bank, women empowerment issues, initiatives, and we're looking to have a significant returns on that. So Central region is a very complex region to look at. So let's just not look at it from a simplistic perspective of an Adesadel Cape Coast or an Mfansipim Cape Coast. No, it's beyond that.
Right.
Right. So would the American election have an impact? I think it's very infinitesimal. As far as I'm concerned, it's just going to be the PR dimensions as to how that will trickle in, given the nature of the economy. Interest rates skyrocketing, historical. You know, you have a central bank posting losses. You have the head of the economic management team who is trying to be president, who is tanking the economy. And this is evident in him shying away from anything economy and switching to information technology of low-hanging fruits that are not fit for purpose for our jurisdiction. But I must commend the butterfly movement. I'm a policy person. So what I think that they mimic Trump's policy first initiative as far as the think tank is concerned. If you look at the policy drive that the movement for change is actually erupting and how they are shaking the waves as far as policy is concerned, I must commend them in that aspect. And I don't know to what extent they are holding on Ashanti, because Ashanti is not a policy ground. It's beyond being a policy ground.
So I wanted to just...
Okay, but unfortunately with this particular topic, I have to end.
I know Ashanti is beyond the policy ground, so I don't know to what extent.
Let me just wrap up on this one. 30 seconds, I'm going to wrap up on this.
No, he said something that I just need 3 seconds.
Okay.
President Mahama has been on the campaign trail for God knows how long. I mean, a few days ago.
We have not seen him.
You didn't listen to the governance forum? The governance forum was held few days ago.
Is everywhere.
Right, when you say
his impact is being
he's
felt.
up north campaigning. He just suspended his campaign to be. What do you want to see again?
We've not seen him. We've not seen him.
Well,
So
the campaign is up to you.
let me just wrap up on this.
Yeah.
Now, what we have to understand is this. Now, there is so much apathy, all right, in Ashanti region, Greater Accra, Central, and Western. You understand? You meet 10 voters in all of these regions, any of these regions, 7 out of them are telling you they're not going to vote. Now, with the coming in of Alain Tramantin as an independent presidential candidate, riding on his great transformational plan, 7 of these persons, all right, are now deciding to vote. You understand? Now, Central, Alan is from Ashanti, he's from Central. So there is a combination of it. And Ashanti has an influence over Central, all right, traditionally. Now, the vice is from Central and OT. There is a combination there. The wife of Alan is from Eastern region. You understand?
So you're going to pull votes from all sides.
We are pulling votes from all of these regions, and that is what is confusing the NPP.
Okay. We hear you. Let me read some messages. Good morning, my beautiful Rosalind. We wish the Americans good luck and Godspeed. Also, if 82% think Ghana is moving in wrong direction, then Ghana needs a resetting, not upgrade on wrongdoing, from Nanaya Tichiman. Mensa Majid from Bichim says that with the economic hardship, high unemployment rate, insecurity, corruption, Cecilia Dapa, $1 billion comfortably resting under her bed, the lies, crate, loot and share in this insensitive government will be an insult for Ghanaians to vote for the NPP. Don't let anybody deceive you. How many times do you feed yourself in a day? How much can you save today for your children? Don't listen to people who have been paid to defend the mess. My regards to okay. Thank you very much. Good morning to you and to your guests. If NPP mean jobs for the youth, then I'm pleading with them to absorb all NAPCO trainees that they use a lot of money to train them to acquire skills, knowledge, and experiences into permanent jobs. We are citizens of Ghana and we need their help to sustain us permanently. I am pleading. The public should not waste their money for nothing. I was posted to Government Hospital as accounts officer through my hard work and punctuality at work. I had a lot of awards because of that. The management of the hospital decided to appoint me to continue my work since 2021 to date, but the salary I'm receiving is not more than 700 Ghana cedis. Because of this, I am just appealing for Bawumia to absorb us. Wow, 700 Ghana cedis, and at this economy, really? Is this true? What? Good morning, Rosalind. Ghanaians beware. NPP's promises are like a relationship where some ladies pretend to care but only want financial gain. When you need them and call them to come to your house, they'll make excuses, citing reasons like Kotoko has come to the park. However, when sending money, they won't hesitate. This parallels NPP's behavior. Charming promises before elections, disappearance after voting, and later attributing Ghana's economic struggles to global issues. Stay vigilant and don't fall for it. This is coming from Honorable Akesme from Setri Bekwai. Teacher Kojo Tepa Ayinsua Ayinansu. So, hey, I hope I got it right. The NDC and the Mahama are only campaigning on the perceived sufferings and hardships of an ordinary citizen without presenting any credible policies to address those concerns. They wrongly believe that telling citizens they are suffering will translate into cheap votes for them. Ghanaians are smarter than this obsolete political tactic. Okay. The greetings, I don't greet. So when you send in your messages, that's fine. Akonsi Gariba from Tamale says, good morning, Roslyn. Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia continues to demonstrate that he's ready, prepared to take off for his bold and unique solutions for some challenges being faced by both the youth and the old in Ghana. Ghanaians cannot afford not to have Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the new president of Ghana come 7 January 2025. If America had Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as their presidential candidate, the choice would have been obvious. Vote number 1. Madam Roslyn, I am glad the U.S. State Department has issued a warning that those who undermine Ghana's democracy will not be given a U.S. visa. In that light, I recommend Akufo-Addo Bawumia, Jean Mensa, Gertrude Tokonu, Gabri Ochidako, and Akufo Dampare, that's the IGP. These individuals are existential threats to Ghana's survival and democracy. The selective justice we are witnessing from the Supreme Court is very worrying and not checked will ruin our fledgling democracy. I implore well-meaning Ghanaians to vote massively against Bawumia to curb the thievery, scandals upon scandals, graft corruption, galamsey galore, reckless borrowing, mismanagement, illicit printing of monies by BOG to Akufo-Addo's government, and the continued depreciation of the city. Good morning, dear Charles Echampo. Musa Abatua from Asawasa says John Mahama has proven his dedication to improving healthcare and protect his environment. His extensive investment in healthcare infrastructure across Ghana has laid a strong foundation, and his ambitious $18.5 billion flashing program promised to elevate healthcare to the new heights is incredible. With the support of Julius Debres, achievable. Vote wisely. Okay. Good morning, beautiful Lady Rose. Ghanaians, wake up and speak up, because just a few months ago, the board chairperson of SNIT and the entire management of SNIT and the NPP communicators, government and some CSOs, experts who were dishonest strongly advocate why Labadi Beach Hotel should be sold to Mr. Brian Echampo, i.e. it was not making a profit, etc. Today, Labadi Beach Hotel has declared a profit of 1.6 million Ghana cedis for the year 2023 financial year, and the year of that hotel has been declared CEO of the year 2023. Quite, yeah. I saw this in the newspapers and I nearly touched on it, because I was like, wasn't this hotel for sale barely like 5 months ago? So how are they making profit? Because we were told they were not making profit.
It is only in Ghana. And
they made 1.6 million, giving it to SNIT. I think SNIT should come and answer some questions to us. That's my opinion, because SNIT told us they were not making profit, they were making losses. So for this, SNIT, you ought to answer how a company that you told us were making losses in 4 years has been able to give us a profit of 1.6 million Ghana cedis.
In 1 year.
Speak to us. Speak to us, SNIT. For this, I say SNIT, speak to us. Some people watching from Asamankesi says that President Akufo-Addo will peacefully transfer power to a visionary leader, and among the contenders, Dr. Bawumia stands out for his forward-thinking approach and innovative ideas, particularly in harnessing technology for Ghana's progress. Notably, while Dr. Bawumia engages youth and job creations, others like John of the NDC have been dismissive, as seen in his reaction to the Azoka boys. Fellow Ghanaians, let us thoughtfully compare and contrast candidates to elect a leader capable of addressing our challenges, making Dr. Bawumia the ideal choice, as emphasized by Honorable Charles Echampo, MP for Luwak, and Frank Isiedu. Okay, I wasn't going to greet, but I don't know how come I even read. Rosalind Dr. Bawumia is the vice president and the head of the economic management team, who was described as the economic whiz kid, should solve problems now and stop talking about the future from Mowat. All right, Mowat. As for this hotel thing, it's spinning me via. Good morning, Joy Prime. Please help me wish. Okay, they'll help you wish, okay? Don't worry. Good morning, Rosalind, and good morning to your panelists. Honestly, I wonder where the ambition of this NPP government has gone. This NPP government has taken Ghanaians for granted. It's unacceptable. I don't know why all NPP communicators are driven on same tangents. Why are they speaking as if they all live in Ireland? Okay. Hello, Rosalind. I'm praying for Ghanaians who shall be going in to cast their votes to put Ghana first. I'm Lambert. Hi, Lambert. Thank you so much for sending your message, Lambert. Good morning, Rosalind. Adamsu was all green yesterday. German South is indeed ready for JM's comeback and to endorse Honorable Williams Okofodate. Kwesi Koko Adamsu. All right. Thank you so much for sending in these messages. As for the hotel thing, I won't talk about it again because I think one of these days we'll bring it up as the main topic. Well, Parliament.
I never regretted demonstrating, joining the picket lines.
Yeah, to prevent it.
Yeah.
So for me, this particular conversation has nothing to do with political colors. It has everything to do with us as citizens to prevent our state properties from being sold. Because if you are told that the state property is running at a loss and there's all of a sudden a turnaround where that state property is making profit, how is it that they are making profit? How were they making losses? And how did they all turn around?
Rosalind,
Answers will be given. Anyways, Parliament has recalled.
It has everything to do with politics. Because
I think the citizens
there
must
is a
demand
there should be a political will, all right, political willingness to make sure that state agencies and enterprises work and make profit. If an individual is able to manage an entity and as a private entity and makes profit, the state ought to be able to make profit in every enterprise.
I agree with you. Well, I do agree with you. Anyway, so we move on to our next conversation where Parliament is being recalled on the 7th of November. That is how many days? I think on Thursday. Yes, Parliament is resitting on Thursday, and this is the notice that came out. It says, notice to summon Parliament pursuant to Article 1123 of the Constitution 1992 and the standing orders of Parliament. And so Parliament is resitting. Now, when Parliament resits, what will happen? Who will now become the majority and who will become the minority? And so this is the question that everybody seems to be asking. And so let me start this conversation with you. Doc, let me start it with you.
I mean, this whole conundrum around Parliament, even though some people might view it from, it's more like a half glass full and a half glass empty scenario because, and what has actually led to Parliament, going on recess and all of that, it either strengthens our democracy or it weakens it. But I'm going to try to be as balanced as I can from where I'm starting from. I think the Supreme Court's interference in the matters that led to this has been so unnecessary, right? And the speed with which they went about this, juxtaposing that again to issues that have happened in the past, does not really put a lot of confidence at on the apex bench. And why do I say this? I've always said that, look, from the High Court to Court of Appeal, all the way to the apex bench, which is the Supreme Court, they are international positions. If you were a judge to sit on any of these benches, you are deemed as international, not national, right? Based on the kind of cases you'll be looking at and the kind of outlook and contemporaries you'll be looking around globally. Now, mind you also, what is happening now, the investor community or the international investor community is watching. And the fundamental question they're going to ask themselves is, what if I ever have a case and it goes all the way up there? How is it going to be looked at? And based on the inference you're getting from this, also affects investor confidence as a country. So it's not only a democratic thing, it's got an economic arm to it as well. And I've not been so much impressed with how the current Chief Justice, even her utterances themselves, when you become a judge of an apex court, not just even of a high court, I take it from high court all the way to the Supreme Court. Even at the high court level, your temperament, your public utterances, your emotional intelligence ought to be very balanced. Because whatever you say goes a long way and it reflects on even cases you've touched in the past, decisions you've made in the past, all are reflective on what you do, with that weight on you seated there. So if we have a CJ sounding out of frustration with kind of the commentary that is emanating out of these things, I think that it doesn't really speak.
What did she say that made
I
her
mean,
sound
with all of the issues of election cases coming before her, if this is how they're going to be done, you heard all of these issues and how, or even before open court, how when these matters come to the courts, how they are handled should be reflective of a non-partisan issue or should not even smack of any bias. So when I say partisan, I'm just not even looking at it from an NDC or an MPP color perspective, a partisan in the sense that you are favoring one side over the other. That is why you are the apex bench. And that is why you are deemed Chief Justice. And when they say Chief Justice, look at the role, right? And when there's a vacuum, let's say there's a constitutional crisis, who takes over?
Would you have sung the same tune if it had gone in the favor of the NDC?
No, when you say same tune, I'm looking at it from utterances that were made, emotional intelligence displayed, and all of that. So regardless of who was there, I'm not looking at it from an NDC, MPP. I'm looking at it from an investor confidence lens as well. So this has nothing to do with MPP, or whether it went in the favor. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, this was a democratic process. It had nothing to do with MPP. Even the speaker's decision was not one that affected only an NDC MP. It affected MPP MPs as well. So that will tell you that he was taking a decision as a speaker and the interference of the bench and the utterances that came later. So now, having had the last letter that came, and mind you, such interferences has been occurring ever since the administration took over in the last couple of years. You have executive interference. Remember the famous green letter exchanges between the speaker and Asante Bediatuo. I wouldn't say Asante Bediatuo and the executive, which is an arm of the government. Now, you would see the office of the president. I'll say executive. I'm looking at it from arms of governments, right? The interference is becoming one too many. It's a distraction to our democracy. Now, look at what is happening between the apex court and, for that matter, the judiciary. They are the representation of the judiciary in this country. And parliament, which is also an independent arm of government. Where are we taking this to? Is that a test of our democracy, or is it an abuse of office through a partisan lens? That's a fundamental question that we all need to answer. And I think that civil society organizations ought to come in. They need to speak to it. Please, Madam CJ, your role is international, right? Whatever decision you take, whatever utterances you make, whatever emotional intelligence you exhibit has investor confidence and has international appeal as far as our country is concerned.
All right, Doc. Benji?
Well, I am not really surprised with the submission that is coming from Doc. I mean, because there seems to be a leaked document from their side that seems to have a blueprint of bastardizing our courts.
Which loop document?
Well, we've intercepted that.
Document.
They have a document, and in that document they have steps in winning this election. One of them is to bastardize our court and paint it more like a partisan, sort of approach.
I really wish I could see that document.
But is it similar to Japadier?
It's very, very important. It's very, very important.
Aspects of designing documents.
I just want to know.
It's very, very important.
So you see, with regards to most of these documents that we hear, has been intercepted and all of that, we kind of see it in the media space as well. That we haven't seen it, and so being told that it's there, I really wish that you could prove it for us to be able to use it.
We also have our intelligence unit, okay, as a party.
So
when our intelligence unit intercepts some of these documents, we take them seriously, and I am sure.
But we bring them to the public.
You see, Doc is trying to. I don't know. I want to be very, very decorous this morning, because the court. Okay, the Supreme Court has done a job. Let's respect that. Let's respect that. We've been in this country, when things go in their favor, they come out and praise the court. Remember the famous Jackie Kwesi case? Remember the famous Atufosin case? Right? They came in and praised the court. Now, when the court brings out a verdict and it's not in their favor,
we never praised. We never praised any court.
They then turn to accuse the bench.
Decision,
you see,
and a judgment.
But it does not come from the judges.
But no,
the decision doesn't.
When an AG was trying to turn.
But at the end of the day,
when an AG,
at the end of the day, you praised.
No, praised the court. The AG was in cahoot with who was praising court.
What I'm learning, what I'm learning from this thing is that whenever there's a dispute, your best resort is to the court. And as demonstrated by the majority leader, Afenyo Makin, now there has been a ruling. They have recalled Parliament, and that's exactly what we all need to come together and then look at the bigger picture of this country. There are parliamentary businesses that still need to be conducted, and we must at least, if not for anything at all, we need to think about Ghanaians. You see, I have always had a problem with the posture of the speaker. And clearly everybody seems to know it. That he turned to be doing the bidding of the NDC. Yes, we all know that he came from a party, but he's supposed to be a neutral referee.
So let me ask you this. What did he do in particular that makes you say
well,
that?
you see, I mean, in his posturing, he, on several occasions, has he questioned some of his members in Parliament that he's number 3 and what number is the other.
Number 3?
Well, he is.
Okay.
Is it relevant to say that?
But it's not.
Speaker Okwe never said that. Yes, we all know that. We all know that.
I just want to.
Nobody was going to dispute that. Nobody was challenging that.
I get you, but you said that.
So was it necessary?
But
Was it relevant?
Saying number 3 doesn't make him side with the NDC or the NPP. That's why I'm asking you. What utterance or what did he do that makes you say that his utterances makes us know that he's siding with the NDC?
From our childhood, we've been watching parliamentary proceedings. And his posture alone, at this crucial time, when we have a hung parliament, is supposed to bring all of them together. So I am only asking that, as a speaker, he should unite the House. Not that he will go on the other side and then bring all of this. We only have 33 days to elections. If you know that this is going to cause chaos, why don't you let them all, be at their places and then make other parliamentary businesses that are important to nation building more
the role of the speaker is to announce, and he was petitioned by a member of parliament, so he announced
you recall his response to the Supreme Court.
That what?
You did not read his letter.
That what?
When the Supreme Court had made a ruling and that he was supposed to respect it, he came back with a letter that seems to be on the other side.
No,
of the
that's not what it was.
But
no,
clearly.
No.
Rosalie,
please, let's get the facts out. Right? The response was not to counter what the Supreme Court had said.
What was it then?
What it was that the Supreme Court had submitted or had petitioned them on a day that was not supposed to have been.
Okay.
And so by law, it was supposed to have been petitioned on the day that they are working.
So Supreme Court did not know that. Is that what you're saying?
No, but that's what it is. That's what the law says.
That's what I'm
saying. And they were given at a time that they were not supposed to have been given. So that was what he took to court.
Well,
so it's not like he cancelled Supreme Court's ruling.
Well, granted.
Yes.
I am only saying that this precedent seems to tell us that if there's any dispute, go to court. Now, the saying that Parliament is a master of its own laws or whatever is clearly shown in this case that no, they are not. Now, the Speaker would have to respect the decision of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And if it has been recalled, we thank God for that. I'm only saying
that. Are you going into majority?
Well, that's something that the Speaker would have to come and demonstrate. I mean, some level of maturity would have to be in the House this come Thursday. Yeah. And that will bring finality or closure to this matter. In fact, that whole Buhaha recently was not needful. I would say it wasn't relevant. We could have easily avoided that.
Very true.
And I am only praying that these parliamentarians think about the needs of Ghana, because there are other other businesses that must be conducted, and when it's being done, it's going to help all of us.
All right, Benji, thank you. Nana Yaw, you are the neutral person in Parliament now. So let me ask you, does it really matter who is majority and who is minority? Only 33 days to elections.
With the experience I've had in the current democratic dispensation, in my view, as a person, it doesn't matter who is majority, who is minority. Government business will still go on. Now, it depends on what you are taking to Parliament, for which reason you would need to, by all means and at all costs, have a majority. I'll give you an example. Did you see majority minority when the issue of LGBTQ went to Parliament? I do not think so. Do you see majority minority when they are in there to vote for their cars and their loans and their other monetary benefits? They don't. Why do we always have to see majority minority when it comes to policies and programs that has a direct impact on the Ghanaian people? In my view, the current parliament as it stands does not even have a majority or a minority. And if you have an executive leadership that is able to put together good policy directions, good programs that would up the game of Ghanaians and change the lives of Ghanaians and make it more prosperous, the Ghanaian people themselves would force these representatives of DS in parliament to be more Ghanaians than to be green or red or white. And that is what matters. Rosalind, my question is this. Was there the need for even the NPP to walk out? There was no need. Parliament has a procedure. If the court has brought in an order, you need the same parliament to sit to enforce the order that was brought in by the court.
I said a minority, though.
And so if you're seated at minority and the order that has been submitted or given to the speaker says that, hold on, Mr. Speaker, and then Mr. Speaker reads it out and says that court says we should hold on based on A, B, C, D, E, F. For that matter, the decision that was taken in our earlier sitting, I as Speaker, in that same procedure, is reversing my ruling. Are you not going to go back to where you belong? I mean, you need those numbers in Parliament to undo what had been done.
But you don't ego
In
won't
any
let
ways.
them, though.
In any ways.
Ego won't let
No,
any
but-
member of
but
parliament
in
to go
any
and
ways,
sit as
Rosemary,
minority because
As
they feel
they
that
have
they are
triggered,
right.
as they have triggered Parliament
Yeah.
to the Speaker to call Parliament, where would they be sitting?
That's a question for the
Are
government.
they going to be seated on the minority or the majority? Because, you see, Parliament takes decisions, and then the decision they take is done. The decisions or the rulings by the Speaker does not take days to take effect until otherwise he himself has given a date. But the ruling he did was with immediate effect. All right. But I would want to agree with many Ghanaians who are of the view that the judiciary, it's gradually finding its way to interfering with the activities of many other arms. I don't know if you watched the live telecast of what happened in court. The posture, the body language, everything that happened in the courtroom was not the best. All right, a lot of people are watching. The more or less, I would say, the statements and the backup comments by the Chief Justice when Sawyer and the Attorney General were speaking, and it is not a letter, it is that. No, see, when you are in a leadership role and there is a dispute, okay, you as the person who is sitting in should be able to differentiate between your personality, your emotions,
And you don't think you
and your
that?
statesmanship that has been given to you at that moment.
A minute more, though.
Myself,
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Okay.
You understand? I didn't see it. I mean, I'm not a lawyer.
So you are in agreement
I'm not
with
a judge.
Doctor?
No, they have a different stand. But I am
No, but
dealing...
he also spoke about the
I spoke
posture.
about the posture.
He said he was being neutral, and he spoke about the posture, and
No, but the posture... I think we are not the only people who were talking about her posture.
Yeah.
It was... She was being too emotional.
Yeah.
The seat in which she is...
It's not an emotional one.
It's not an emotional seat. You understand? You would get people coming at you every minute. Probably when she was not the CJ, she was not getting this bashing because nothing of hers was coming to the public and all. But now you are the CJ. All right? It's just like, I don't know, was it President Kufuor or one of the presidents ever said that you in the morning when you wake up and you tune on your radio and your TV, you would have 25 to 30 million presidents and coaches who will be telling you what to do and how to do it. Would you have to be emotional about everything? You can't. And you could see from how she was doing her presentation that she was so emotional about it. This has nothing to do. But just to wrap up, it is only the judiciary that has no political coloring. The executive does, the legislature does, and it is only the judiciary that we run to when there is a dispute. But as we speak, bro, I think that many Ghanaians are of the view that the judiciary is gradually being influenced to an extent,
okay.
some colors. And the judiciary would have to clear that image. Because now, if after elections there is a dispute, and I would have to come to this same judiciary for them to resolve, looking at the past events and what is happening, do you think I would want to go to them?
No, but
No,
Nana,
it becomes
hear you.
very difficult.
Okay.
Nana,
So they have a responsibility
Okay.
to be able to clear that image so that people would have much more trust.
In the court.
so what do you think
Okay.
they've done
All right.
wrong, Nana?
Let me come to
What do you
you.
think they've done wrong?
no.
Benji, I'll come to you.
You see,
What do you
I
think
would
they've done
Maybe
respond.
I'll come
I would
to you.
respond when
in
it's
Britain,
done.
when the vote was made on the Brexit vote, the judges were described as enemies of the state, right? We didn't see such emotional, mere or near tantrums, right, being displayed. I'm just telling you to which the exposure or the public exposure to which a bench, or for that matter, judges could be exposed to as far as this is concerned. But more so, we've all seen the kind of interesting appointments that have been made to the judiciary. All of this inform as to whether the colorization of the judiciary is fed into...
Appointments are always made by
Yeah,
the
they're always
president,
made, but
right?
it's interesting appointments. I mean, we don't care if the person is qualified whatsoever, but we've seen some interesting names whatsoever. Now, you look at even the judges that were empaneled to look at this. Look, this was a very sensitive matter, right? Interesting.
Politically
sensitive.
I mean,
Has
let's
never
put
happened
that
in the
in
history of our country before. It is novel, to put it that way, right? I'm not saying that they are not competent, but look at the experience, the period of which all these judges, those who were empaneled to look at the case, they were all appointed post-2020. And these were I'm not saying they are not competent, but when a CJ, or for that matter, head of the judiciary is meant to empanel people, you look at a certain level of experience to which they bring to bear, given on the political sensitivity of the
If
issue.
immediately you use the word a certain level of experience, then you're
Yes.
trying to say that they are not that experienced.
No, I'm not saying they are not. At the apex bench.
Okay.
No, but just to add on.
Just a minute. We have to
add on.
go.
They are
need to
not
end.
experienced in handling political
Political issues.
Okay.
And looking at the
Let's
period
put that
within
in
which, let's get
perspective.
that. I'm not saying,
You
because they're
understand?
qualified to be at the bench. That's why
Of
they were
course,
there. They were
nobody
vetted. Nobody is against
their competency or their
whatsoever.
credentials.
Okay.
No.
Their credentials.
Not at
No.
all.
Right? So,
These are learned persons.
learned persons. And we'll all look at the history of some of the appointments around these empaneled judges and the decision that was taken. So I think that this is where you start by giving public confidence by how you empanel.
Okay. done.
Right? Post that, then it moves from there. But if how you empanel the judges in and of itself gives the public a certain connotation as to what is going into the judgment, then you've already defeated yourselves.
So he asked a question. I just want to
We
respond
have
to
to end
that.
this
That
segment.
what did they do? And I just want to respond to that. You see, you would have a judge, all right, who was
A parliamentary
candidate of a political party sitting in to help take a decision on his former color against another color.
What do you think will happen?
Meanwhile, there are other judges who you could have easily appointed. You see, sometimes you do not put yourself in a tight corner. My father told me one thing some time back, and I know a lot of people have been saying
1 minute to
that
run,
if
so
you
that
would
you
have
just
to,
take
if you would have to
opinion, 1
explain yourself over and over and over a comment you have made or an action you have taken, you better not do it.
All right, thank you.
So
Benji,
me
just-
clearly, I am not shocked that they are saying all of these things. In fact, Doc has a side, and for me, the court has made it ruling, and it's very clear. What I mean, if they are saying that the judge was once a member of a particular party, what if her views were dissenting? Have you read her ruling or whatnot? You understand? Maybe
is a public
in
document.
that order, she probably had a dissenting view. So for me, I am saying that when the NDC, when rulings are made in favor of the NDC, they come and praise the court. But when it goes against them, then they seem to think that the court is now partisan and whatnot. Please, the only institution that we have that can protect our democracy is
court.
the court.
And that's why we have to
So,
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
let's not bash them.
So the
in
custodians
that
of the
way
court must
at
make
all.
it have that outlook.
Let us not bastardize them. Let not
The
paint them
custodians
at
of the
all.
court
All right,
must make it
gentlemen.
have that
respect-
Thank you
we
so
must-
much for
we must
being here,
respect their
No
gentlemen.
emotional
And I want to
Let's
say a
respect
very-
their ruling.
All right, thank
That's
you
very
much.
important.
Right. And so a very big thank you to you, Benjamin Jewapia, who represented the NPP, for being here. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Benji.
problem.
A big thank you to you, Dr. Sharif Mahmood Khalid. Thank you so much. And Nana Yao Sapon, good morning. Thank you so much. Oh, Nana, my time.
In 30 seconds.
No, I have to go. I have to. Else my producer will
This
kill
morning,
me.
I'm very sympathetic to the movement. So,
I just wanted to
So a very big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise for having our back. And Franco Trading Enterprise, I need to do this. Without Franco Trading Enterprise, I can't have this segment. So please, can I have some silence? So that I mentioned Franco. Please go to Franco for all your gadgets, mobile phones, televisions, and CCTV cameras, and more. Please go to them. You can actually download the app on your phone, which is Franco Trading app. It's very easy to download, and you can purchase your items there. So they deliver it to you at your doorstep. For further inquiries, you can Google www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone papa.